We're joined on the Talk Back this evening, a man you know very well, Toledo Mayor Mike Bell. We thank you very much for your time. You're a busy man.
No problem.
With the budget coming up, I'll first start with Governor Kasich and the budget he's going to unveil tomorrow. How much worry do you have that he is going to slash what kind of money Toledo could be getting?
Well, you know, I think that any mayor right now in the state of Ohio needs to be focused on knowing that there are cuts coming, okay? So there's no way that it's not going to happen, you know, when you realize that the state has a $8 billion deficit or somewhere close to that, you know cuts are coming. And so what we've tried to do is be fairly inclusive in where we think those cuts will be. We may be wrong, and we may have to add a 5% or 10% or something like that, but we haven't planned our budget without thinking that something's going to happen.
Okay, do you have a ballpark figure in your mind of what you're kind of estimating he's going to take?
Well, you know, we were looking at somewhere between 10 and 15%. Okay. And that could be, you know, pretty aggressive. But, you know, it's hard times out there. And if you're trying to do what people are requesting you to do, and that's play inside the lines of the money that you have, then, you know, it requires some pretty aggressive movements.
Now, you're going to have a little bit of carryover deficit from 10 into 11, but not as much as you inherited many years ago. What was the key to eliminating, if not all, of that carryover?
Well, one of the portions that I think really helped us out is, one, we got the concessions we needed to be able to help balance the budgets through that exigent circumstances, and everybody was willing to come back to the table and bargain. We did, you know, have to raise a few fees that helped out. Our revenues that came in were actually higher, and we actually looked at more efficiencies inside our administration and cut down on the amount of money we were spending inside the administration.
Now, speaking of the concessions and unions, Senate Bill 5, you may not see any of the, if this goes to an election in November, it might not affect you too much for 11. What are your gut feelings about Senate Bill 5? Is it a good thing or bad thing?
Well, I think that it's a mixed bag. From the standpoint of where I'm at, we need something that helps, that gives us a reset switch, so that when we get into situations like what we had last year, we can fix it, and we can fix it to the benefit of our citizens and our employees, because with that, with what we did last year, it minimized any ability to have to lay off a bunch of people, and I don't want to have to lay off a bunch of people to be able to meet our goal. If we can keep everybody working and we have to just lower our cost to do that, I think that's more beneficial than laying off 100 or 200 people to try to meet that goal. And so I'm very cognizant of that, and partly because I was a laid-off firefighter. So when I look at Senate Bill 5, to me, there are some good parts to it, but there are also parts that need to be modified. Some of them seem maybe a little bit punitive in nature, and I don't believe in that, but I believe that we do have to have the tools that reset the economy for us.
So do you at least think it's good that this discussion is being had, hashed out?
Absolutely, because last year we're still actually dealing with this down at the state and trying to decide whether we could do exigent circumstances or not. So if we hadn't had that, how would we have fixed our budget? You know, we wouldn't have been able to get the concessions. We wouldn't have been able to have the tools that made people want to come to the table and negotiate. Negotiations work when you have some things to negotiate with. Okay, as a city, if you don't have any money, so what are you going to negotiate with?
Well, that's what your deputy mayor said. I mean, if there's no money to do it, you can't do it.
Right.
So I think that was kind of what he was saying down there in Columbus.
Absolutely, and so for me, I'm not anti-union at all. What I am, though, is very pro-citizen. What they have told us, and they've been telling us this during the campaign and for the last year, they don't want new fees, they don't want new taxes. And so what that means is we have to play inside the perimeter.
Okay, man, before we leave here, a county-wide garbage system. Yes, no, do you see it happening here in the near future?
You know, we're going to keep pushing that. Once again, people have talked about, why aren't you combining your services? That was one of the campaign issues that I'd hear all the time. And so we're attempting to try to do that, and we think it'll make our system more efficient.
All right, Mayor Bell, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it as the budget deadline is slowly approaching. Thanks very much.
Thanks, sir.
And that is your Talk Back.